Hello BookTube, welcome back to my 2025 library tour. In this episode, the grand finale. This is the final episode of my 2025 library tour. In this episode, I will be showing you the volumes of manga I have on the second half of this long bookcase I have. So let's get started, because it's going to be a long one. First up is my favorite manga, Fairy Tail by Hiro Mishima. Fairy Tail is about a young wizard named Natsu Dragneel, who is accompanied by an Exceed named Happy. Natsu is the adoptive son of the fire dragon Igneel, who disappeared before the series began, and Natsu is on a quest to find him. He is a Fairy Tail wizard. Fairy Tail is a guild of wizards who go out on missions. One day while looking for Igneel, Natsu meets a young celestial spirit mage named Lucy Heartfilia. And after an adventure together, Natsu invites Lucy to join Fairy Tail, and they quickly form a team alongside Happy. And eventually this team grows to include the strongest woman in the guild, Ursa Scarlet, and Natsu's frenemy, Grateful Buster. And later in the series, a young Sky Dragon Slayer named Wendy joins the team as well. This series is amazing. I fell in love with it when I first read it over 10 years ago, and I slowly when I decided to get back into manga, I decided that this would be one of the first series that I actively pursued, and I eventually collected all of the volumes and have since then done 2 massive entire series reads, and they were magical. Particularly this most recent one, it was just absolutely glorious. I loved rereading this series. I wish I could go back to it now, and I'm really looking forward to my next reread. It's so good. So this is volume 1. Volume 2. Volume 3. Volume 4. Volume 5. Volume 6. Volume 7. Volume 8. Volume 9. Volume 10. Volume 11. Volume 12. Volume 13. Volume 14. Volume 15. Volume 16. Volume 17. Volume 18. Volume 19. Volume 20. Volume 21. Volume 22, Volume 23, Volume 24, Volume 25, Volume 26, Volume 27, Volume 28, Volume 29, Volume 30, and Volume 31. And that finishes off the first shelf. I have 2 full shelves of Fairy Tale, because Fairy Tale left it for 63 volumes. Volume 32. And somehow or other, while I only managed to get 31 volumes on the top shelf, I managed to get 32 through 63 all on one shelf. I'm not entirely sure how I managed that. 33. $34. $35. $36. $37. $38. $39. $40. $41. $42. $43. $44. $45. $46. $47. $48. $49. $50. $51. $52. $53. $54. $55. $56. $57. $58. $59. 60, 61, 62, and 63, the final volume. This was an amazing series. I love it so much. Now, I have often thought about making this part of the bookcase into a Hiro Mishima shelf because, well, fully half of the shelf is Hiro Mishima. So the next series by him that I have is Eden Zero. This is his series following Fairy Tail. It lasted until midway last year when the series concluded. So the final volumes are currently getting their English translations now. So this is volume 1. So Eden Zero is about a young man named Shiki who grew up on a tourist planet populated by androids. These androids were slowly falling apart, and he would have ended up being alone except for a young woman named Rebecca, who alongside her Exceed companion Happy came to the planet to film some videos for her B-Cube channel. The androids seemingly malfunction and try to kill Rebecca and Happy. Shiki rescues them, and the three flee the planet, and they become adventurers alongside a found family of misfits aboard the Eden's Zero, which was a ship gifted to Shiki by his adoptive grandfather, Ziggy, the Demon King. So they're looking for Mother, this great cosmic goddess figure, and also trying to frustrate the ambitions of the artificial intelligence of the sister ship to the Eden Zero, the Eden's One, which wishes to eradicate all organic life. This series is amazing. I love it. I love it. It is one of my favorite ongoing series. Although, it's finished its run, but in English translation it's still ongoing. So this is volume 2. Now, one thing about Hiro Mishima's work is he will often reuse character designs and character names. This is volume 3, and it makes really cool Easter eggs. Volume 4. Volume 5. Volume 6. Volume 7. Volume 8. Volume 9. Volume 10. Volume 11. Volume 12. Volume 13. Volume 14. Volume 15. Volume 16. Volume 17, Volume 18, Volume 19, Volume 20, Volume 21, Volume 22, Volume 23, Volume 24, Volume 25, Volume 26, Volume 27, Volume 28, Volume 29, and the most recent volume in English translation, Volume 30. This came out in November. I read it in early December, and it left me a euphoric, quaking mess. This volume was so good. It was glorious. Volume 31 will be released in April, and I have not pre-ordered them yet. I will early in March, and I'm pretty sure the rest of the series will be like the English translations will come out by the end of this year. I think September or October is 33. I need to check though, but I do have them noted. And I'm looking forward to it. And I cannot wait to binge read the whole series in 2026. That is one of the things I am looking forward to. So, while Eden Zero is Hiro Mishima's follow-up to Fairy Tail, I think initially he wasn't going to do a sequel series to Fairy Tail, but then shortly between the end of the series and the release of the final volume, or maybe shortly thereafter, he did decide to write at least a sequel series, Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest, with Hiro Mishima doing the story and the layouts, and Atsuo Ueda doing the art. So, Fairy Tail is a series that could have gone on for much longer. And this sequel series sort of continues the story. Natsu and the gang, his team, take on a quest that in 100 years nobody has completed it. So they head to the continent of Guiltina to find out what the quest is, and it involves sealing the remaining dragons, who are immensely powerful. And things progress from there. So I only have 3 volumes. The series is, I think, on its about 20 volumes in English translation right now. I don't know, it's the times that I've tried to read it, that I've read it, I don't know, it's just there's something missing. I don't know if it's the sense that the guild is not as welcoming to misfits as the original series was. If it's just, I don't know. I am going to reread these 3 volumes and maybe pick up a few more to really settle what it is. And I will, of course, report back. So this is volume 1. Volume 2. And volume 3. Which is also probably why I don't haven't picked up the sequel series to Naruto, Boruto. Because I'm wondering if, because I did get a similar sense that the magic's not quite there. Which is weird since I do like Four Knights of the Apocalypse. Something to think about. Anyway, so that concludes the Hiro Mishima half of this shelf, or this bookcase side. So now we're going to have to take a quick journey to the bottom 3 shelves so I can talk about the other books on the shelf. And hopefully I do not get a cramp or get the tingles in my leg, because I did try this. I did do an earlier version of this, which I may or may not rant about later, but yeah. So let's get going with these next 3 shelves. So this is volume 0 of Taliban Hanako-kun by Ida Iro. This volume includes the pilot chapter of Taliban Hanako-kun, as well as the pilot chapter of a manga series that I don't think was picked up. I don't know if it's a possible post-Taliban Hanako-kun project from Ida Iro, or if it's just had its one shot and nothing more will be done about it. So this is Taliban Hanako-kun Volume 1. Taliban Hanako-kun is about a young woman named Nene, who is told that if she goes to a specific toilet stall and performs a set ritual, she will be able to summon the spirit known as the toilet-bound Hanako-san and be granted a wish. Nene does so, and instead of summoning the traditional form of the spirit, which is that of a young woman, she summons the spirit of a younger man, Amado, who would then be Hanako-kun. So Hanako-kun grants her wish. It goes poorly, and in exchange for her service, Hanako-kun breaks the curse or modifies it. And so initially Nene just cleans the bathroom, but she eventually begins to help Hanako-kun with his duties, regulating the relationships between the living and the supernatural at this school. The school that Nene goes to is incredibly haunted. There are 7 major mysteries, 7 major supernaturals, as well as a whole host of other supernatural beings at this school. So they are joined by a young trainee exorcist named Ko, who initially tries to exorcise Hanako-kun, but later becomes the best of friends with him and Nene. And they go on a number of adventures at the school, regulating the relationships between the living and the supernatural. There are forces at the school, however, that seek to upend the proper relationships. And this group is led by Tsukasa, Hanako-kun's evil little shit ghost of a twin brother. He is joined by the School Broadcasting Club, of whom neither is exactly an ordinary human. This series is a ton of fun. I love the characters, I love the relationships, I love the artwork. It is just a wonderful series. The only thing I don't like about it is that sometimes it can take a very long time between volumes. Because Taliban Hanako-kun is a monthly series. And so sometimes a number of volumes will come out in a year, and sometimes only one. Volume 2. Volume 3. Volume 4, which is an absolute heartbreaker of a volume. Volume 5. Volume 6. Volume 7. Volume 8. Volume 9. Volume 10. Volume 11. Volume 12. Volume 13, which leads to an absolute heartbreaker of an arc. Volume 14. Volume 15. Volume 16. Volume 17. Volume 18. Volume 19. Volume 20. And the most recent volume in English translation that came out in January is volume 21. So the other series on the shelf is Frieren Beyond Journey's End by Kanehito Yamada and Tsukasa Abe. So Frieren Beyond Journey's End is about an elven mage named Frieren, who was part of a party of adventurers who brought about the defeat of the Demon King decades before the series begins. After their victory, she goes on a decades-long quest to learn more magic. Slowly, her companions in the party have died. However, before they do so, Frieren takes in a young human mage named Fern and a young warrior named Stark. And together the three go on a new journey. This series is absolutely delightful. I really enjoyed it. I started picking it up early last year. Had some trouble picking up some volumes, but I have collected the series to date. So volume 1. Volume 2. Volume 3. Volume 4. Volume 5. Volume 6. Volume 7. Volume 8. Volume 9. Volume 10. And Volume 11. This is currently what I have. Volume 12 released earlier this month in February and is currently on its route to me. I did receive an email about an hour or so ago saying that my February pre-orders are on their way, and I cannot wait to get them. And I will gush over it when the haul comes in. Anyway, I'm going to move this over a little bit because I'm getting a bit next time I do a library tour, I want to switch things up. I don't know how. Let me check and see. Really don't want to deal with that today. Anyway, let's get on to these next two shelves. So this is Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 0 by Gege Ukutami. So this is the prequel to the Jujutsu Kaisen series proper. It's about a young man named Okutsu Yuta, who is in a similar situation that the series' main protagonist is in. And this is how he was involved in some events that led to the events of the series. It's really good. I really enjoyed it. So this is Volume 1 of Jujutsu Kaisen by Gege Ukutami. Jujutsu Kaisen is about a young man named Yuji Itadori who joins his school's occult club. One day, the members find a rotten, decayed, cursed object, the finger of an evil sorcerer named Sukuna, who lived 1,000 years ago. A wandering cursed spirit notices this cursed object and attacks the occult club. A young trainee Jujutsu sorcerer named Megumi intervenes, and in order to help Megumi, Yuji eats Sukuna's finger. Sukuna then temporarily possesses Yuji and defeats the cursed spirit. But before he can kill Megumi, Megumi's teacher Gojo intervenes. When Yuji comes to, he is informed that the Jujutsu Society higher-ups have decreed that he is a cursed object now and is to be executed. However, Gojo has successfully intervened and has argued that since Yuji shows an ability to be resistant to Sukuna's influence, that they might as well wait until Yuji has eaten all 19 other fingers of Sukuna before they execute him. Yeah, Sukuna has 4 arms. So Yuji takes the deal and he enrolls in Jujutsu Academy. And he and his friends go on a number of adventures before the shit hits the fan. Not only does Yuji have to worry about Sukuna, but he also has to deal with an evil entity sorcerer, I'm not entirely sure what the hell he is, called Kenjaku, who has partnered with some cursed spirits to basically end the world as we know it. This series is awesome. It recently concluded its run, not quite late last year, and the final English translations are coming out this year, I think. I think there are 29 volumes. I know volume 28, its release date has been scheduled. I don't know about 29. I need to look into it. Volume 2. Volume 3. Volume 4. Volume 5. Volume 6, Volume 7, Volume 8, Volume 9, Volume 10, Volume 11, Volume 12, Volume 13, Volume 14, Volume 15, Volume 16, Volume 17, Volume 18, Volume 19, Volume 20, Volume 21, Volume 22, Volume 23, and Volume 24, which came out in December. The most recent volume. Volume 25 is coming out in March, and I've already got it pre-ordered. I'm looking forward to it. Again, though, I'm not entirely sure. So I know up to Volume 28 I have noted. I just am not entirely sure about what 29 is going to do. Again, need to look into it. So the next batch of volumes are single or dual, except for the rest of this shelf, and then we'll get to the final shelf. So next up is 2 volumes of Moriarty the Patriot so it's based on the works of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. The storyboard is by Ryosuke Takuchi, and the art is by Hikaru Miyoshi. So Moriarty the Patriot is, of course, based on the Sherlock Holmes stories of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, with the protagonist being James Moriarty. In this version of the story, Professor Moriarty and his brothers, his younger full brother and his adoptive older brother, work behind the scenes to enact social change in a very authoritarian, classist United Kingdom. And eventually this brings them up against Sherlock Holmes and a number of other opponents. When I first read Volume 1 several years ago, I rather liked it, but on a reread, didn't quite get on with it as well as I had hoped. I do have, of course, Volume 2 of Moriarty the Patriot. Speaking of some series that I have not yet quite gotten on with, is Mashle, Magic and Muscles by Hajime Komoto. This is Volume 1. So Mashle is a series about a magicless young man named Mashle who lives in a world in which everybody else can do magic. Mashle gets by on the strength of his muscles, which oftentimes overpowers magic. Visually, this setting is very, very inspired by Harry Potter. I tried it 2 years ago, maybe 3, and I didn't get on with it. I'm thinking at some point this year to give a number of these series that I've only one volume of another look. Which extends to Soul Eater by Atsushi Okubo. This is volume 1. So, Soul Eater was quite popular in like the 2000s and early 2010s. And it's about a young woman named Maka, who is a sort of exorcist who specializes in killing witches. She has a human partner who can transform into a scythe called Soul Eater. And they go in pursuit of witches. I read this volume a few years ago, didn't get on with it, but I will revisit it. So I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to, do a weekly reads today, because this part of the library tour is a redo. I did an earlier version of this, and that video is gone. So I don't know if I'm going to do weekly reads or not. Anyway, so I did read a few days ago The Tree of Death, Yumotsu Hegi, Volume 1 by Masasumi Kakizaki. So this is a seinen series, so it's for an older audience than shonen. It's about a disgraced police detective named Kanetsugu, who was imprisoned for murder. He murdered one of the men who murdered his wife and daughter. When he is released from prison, he goes after the other one, and he discovers that this other murderer is immortal. And so Shinigami is implanted in Kanetsugu a immortal seed as well, that transform him into a sort of hunter of other immortals, who rather looks like Cthulhu. And so the Shinigami wants Kanetsugu to help her hunt down these immortals and destroy them. I liked this first volume. I think I'm going to continue with the series, which won't be much of a struggle because there's only 3 volumes to the series. Oop. You also got put in backwards. Next is Hunter x Hunter Volume 1 by Yoshihiro Togashi. This is Togashi's most recent series. It's about a young man named Gon who wishes to follow in his father's footsteps by becoming a hunter. This volume sees him going on a journey to get his hunter's license, alongside some people who will become his friends. Okay, so the next batch of volumes belongs to Nabari no U by Yuki Kamatani. Nabari no U is a series about ninja. A young man named Miharu Rokujo was born with the Shinra Bansho, a special ninja technique that makes him quite attractive to many ninja clans in the modern world. He is protected by the Benten village ninja. However, Miharu isn't super enthusiastic about being a ninja. In fact, Miharu isn't enthusiastic about anything, except for maybe opening a Takiomaki restaurant or Onomiyaki restaurant or something. So I have volumes 1 through 9. So this was the series that I read when I first got into manga. And watched the anime, and I really liked the anime, which I think is largely why I'm following up on the series, because I do have unfinished business. I do want to read the whole series. So this is volume 2. Volume 3. Volume 4. Volume 5. Volume 6. Volume 7, Volume 8, and Volume 9. I am missing Volumes 10 and 11. I do have Volume 12 and Volume 13. And I am missing the final volume, Volume 14. The next 3 volumes are Noragami Stray God by Adachi Toka. This is Volume 1. This is about a young woman who gets involved with a god named Yato, who wishes he were more prominent. I rather like this volume, and I picked up the second volume a few years ago, but I haven't really followed through with the series. I'm wanting to give it another go to see if I do want to. So Volume 2. And Noragami Stray God finished its run in Volume 3 about a year or two ago. Next is Gokoro Kugai by Yuto Sano. This is Volume 1. This is about a pair of kind of sort of private detectives, errand runners, that sort of thing. But at night they double as hunters of monsters called Maga. One of the 2 protagonists, Alma, is himself a partial Maga, and they go on a number of adventures. So far, there are only 3 volumes in English translation, and I really enjoyed the series. Looking forward to Volume 4. Hopefully, it won't be too long before Volume 4 comes out. Volume 2. And Volume 3. One Punch Man, Volume 1 by One and Yusuke Murata. So this is a superhero series about a former salaryman named Saitama, who wants to become a superhero. So he trains himself to such an extent that he has a super powerful punch that turns him into... That's why they call him One Punch Man. I rather like this volume, but I have not followed up on the series. I wasn't as fond of Chainsaw Man by Tatsuki Fujimoto. This is Volume 1. This is about a young man named Denji, who one day is merged with his pet dog, and eventually he is able to transform into a monstrous humanoid with a chainsaw head and arms. I will revisit Chainsaw Man and One Punch Man to see if I want to follow up with the series. So, next up is Blue Exorcist by Kazuo Kato. This is the story of the twin sons of Satan, Ren and Yukio Okumura. The twins were raised by a high-ranking exorcist named Father Fujimoto. One day, Ren's demonic nature begins to surface. His powers begin to develop, and that leads to an epic confrontation between adoptive father and adoptive son that allows Satan to possess Father Fujimoto. In the aftermath of this event and Father Fujimoto's death, Ren is left adrift. He is taken into the guardianship of the head of the True Cross Academy and is given the option: either you become an exorcist or you die. Ren takes the exorcist option and discovers that his younger twin brother Yukio is actually an exorcist and is actually a mid-ranked one and is his cram school teacher. So things progress from there. Rin decides that he wants to be an exorcist. He wants to be a great exorcist. He wants to punch dear old dad in the face. I have mixed feelings for this series. I tried it out when I was first into manga, and I wanted to revisit it, but I'm still torn. There's just something about, I think, the relationship between the twins and Father Fujimoto and between the twins that sort of bugs me. And I'm not quite sure why. So this is volume 1. Volume 2. Volume 3. Volume 4, which is a misprint because there's part of chapter 40 in there. Volume 5. And Volume 6. And the final book is Death Note by Sugumi Oba and Takeshi Obata. Death Note was a series that came out in the 2000s. It's about a sociopathic student named Light Yagami who picks up a Shinigami's notebook and learns that he can kill people by writing their names down in the notebook. Light goes on a killing spree targeting criminals, and he is pursued by the great private detective L. And that begins a cat-mouse game between Light and L, and eventually L's successors. This volume came out in 12. The series came out in 12 volumes, and I have the 1-volume box set. And I will be reading this coming March for March of the Mammoths, as well as March Mystery Madness. So, that concludes the 2025 library tour. I'm going to go ahead and try to upload this, and hopefully this video will work, and hopefully I will be able to get up off the floor, because I have lost feeling in one of my legs. So, until next time I see BookTube, thank you, have a great afternoon, and stay safe.